Welcome. This is Shirley Ington, and you have tuned in to the Fairy Tale God Intervention Show, Divine Intervention Show. God is a great God. I'm your host and storyteller of the Most High. So glad you could join us. We're picking up where we left off as it relates to how God moves in such mysterious way when we have faith that pleases Him. And it's easier to speak faith than to walk by faith. That's, for me, it's a very difficult thing, but it's possible. Um, After my divorce, uh, the house that we had purchased, the beautiful home, was to be sold when my youngest child graduated from high school. And he only had a few years there, but I did not want to move them. So when he graduated from high school, we sold the house, and then we began to do what we needed to do for ourselves. By this time, my ex-husband had remarried and was living happily ever after, and I was happy for them because I know, number one, it was difficult for him because it was difficult for me. And I do know we loved each other, but it was God's will. And when we don't understand, when God writes the story, some people say, God would never do that. But no one knows the mind of God. If there's nothing I've learned in these 54 years of walking with Him, is never try to read God's mind. It's not possible. But God can read ours. That's the reason on March the 15th, 2020, God showed up and told me, my people perceive me as a fairy tale. In other words, you know what? My folks think I'm a punk. They don't think I'm real. But God said, through your life, I will show them what a fairy tale God can do. And God ain't no wankster, y'all. You know, they say put up or shut up. He puts up every time. And He's always the winner. Every time the winner. So I began to look for a home. Now remember, for over 18, 19 years, I'm in a home with a family unit. But now I'm by myself. I don't particularly want to live in an apartment for, the next 20, 25 years anyway. I wanted a home. But getting a home with the resources that I had coming in was not possible. I was a teacher and didn't make a bad, salary, but we had bills from that 18-year, 19-year marriage. Check God out. 2006, I believe, God gave me another one of my heart's desires, and He allowed me to go step on the soil of the motherland. We went to South and Central Africa and visited several countries. It was just wonderful. Tears flowed when I stepped on the ground because I understand I didn't know very much about it, but I did know that I would not exist without my ancestors who were from that continent, if not those countries, that continent. And it was in August. When I got back, I really was not comfortable working at the school district anymore. I felt that I was being overlooked. I had qualifications that, other people, didn't have, and I was still being overlooked. And the personnel director just point blank told me one day in his office when I asked, why can't I get a job in administration? He said to me, and this is true, well, surely Bill's already a principal in the district, and it just wouldn't look right for both of y'all to be in administration. I'm just saying. It was back in the day. So I knew from that conversation that I would not be able to move in that district. And so when I came back from my African tour, I prayed about it. At that time, I had been appointed to Ward Chapel, African Methodist Episcopal Church. And the Lord just told me I needed to take a break, walk away. And we're talking about faith that pleases God. I walked away from the school district and was a full-time pastor at Ward Chapel. Now, a full-time pastor at that time at Ward, it was making anywhere from $350 to $400 a week. So just understand that was all the money that I had coming in. But even in that, God said, I want to show you what I can do. I wanted a house. I prayed for a house, a nice house. I know what I wanted. I wanted it kind of like in a country setting. I love animals. They talk to me, I talk to them. I just, and so I was with my realtor, the same realtor that actually helped us buy the house um, that we had bought together when I was married. And we were going to look at houses and stuff, and there was just nothing that touched my heart that I wanted. And so he said to me, Rocky said, Shirley, there's a house in this neighborhood. Now, it's above your price range. But since you're not seeing anything, you want to just go by and look at it? Now, remember, it's above your price range, so you won't be able to afford it. And something inside of me said, yeah, let's go look at it. And I had prayed and asked God, I said, God, whenever I find the house that you have willed for me, that you want me to have, let me feel your Holy Spirit when I walk in. And I walked into this house, and the Spirit of the Lord met me. I knew this house belonged to me. I told Rocky, I said, my realtor, I said, put in this bid for me very low. I'm talking about like almost a quarter low. And Rocky said, Shirley, these people are going to laugh at us if we turn in an offer like this. And I said, well, do it anyway. And he said, the realtor's going to laugh at me. I said, okay. So anyway, he did as I asked, and I put the bid in. And just like he said, they did not accept it. So I talked to God. I prayed, Lord, where do you want me to be? And I thought that was the house. I felt your presence when I walked in. I tell you, I wailed. There's so many times that you find me prostrate on the floor, just crying out to God because no other help I know. This is just, like I said, we're going into 55 years here. And we have a real relationship, a real history. Yes, we do. So I'm going to tell you in the next clip what happened. How did I get this house? It's almost 10 minutes, so I'm going to get off now. But I'll see you again in just a few minutes on the next EP.